All right, this is the What is a Chemical Reaction Lab. So on Canvas, you should have a link to this here. There's also a worksheet that goes along with it. It has data table B on it and the post-lab questions. Make sure you copy data table A in and answer the first two pre-lab questions. And here's the little bit of background information. This is attached. This is the first thing attached on Canvas. Here's the pre-lab questions down here at the bottom. And then here's the directions. So we're going to go through this lab. I've already got a well plate, and I've got 10 drops of hydrochloric acid in the A wells, all 6 of them, and then 10 drops of cupric chloride in the B wells, all 6 of them. And you can see the first thing it tells you to do is make observations about hydrochloric acid, and it just looks like a clear liquid. And then they want you to take the temperature of it. So we take the temperature of it. It's 21 degrees, which is room temperature. Then we're going to take a piece of blue litmus paper. I'm going to go ahead and grab 2. And we're going to test the hydrochloric acid in blue litmus paper. So you can see when we put it in here, it turns the blue litmus paper pink. Then what it tells us to do is put 10 drops of sodium hydroxide, which is this stuff right here. So I'm going to put it in the first well. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Then we're going to let that set for just a second. I'm actually going to stir it with the thermometer, and you see that it was at 30 degrees Celsius. So it went from 21 degrees to 30 degrees. And then we're going to put the blue litmus paper back in it, and you can see that it no longer turns the blue litmus paper pink. So it's still blue. All right, so that's the first well. For the second well, we're going to add sodium bicarbonate to it, which is just baking soda. So I'm going to put a little bit on my scupula, pour it in, and you can say there's definitely a reaction taking place. It's bubbling. If we measure the temperature of it, temperature actually went down. It's 15 degrees. I don't know if there's something maybe wrong with this thermometer or what. Then we're going to take this over to the silver nitrate. And put, I'm going to read this real quick, I can't remember. 10 drops of silver nitrate into the hydrochloric acid. So you get 10 drops. You can see definitely we're getting a white solid forming. And let's go measure the temperature of that. And the temperature went up a little bit from room temperature. Not sure if it's going to get to 20 or not. All right. Then we're going to add, I think, zinc to the next well. Yeah, zinc, aluminum, and magnesium. So let me grab the thermometer. We'll just move everything over here. So I'm going to grab a small piece of zinc here, put it in, and you can definitely tell that there's some bubbling taking place. And there's also a little bit of an increase in temperature. I'm not sure how high it's going to go. It's about 19. It was 7. It might get to 20. I'm not going to let it go that long. Then we're going to put a piece of aluminum. So here's the aluminum. We're going to use aluminum shot. And you can tell there's absolutely nothing happening here on the aluminum. Aluminum's just sitting there. And the temperature is exactly the same. And then the last one, we're going to put a piece of magnesium ribbon. And I've got the magnesium ribbon cut up. If I can pick it up. There. And we can see the magnesium ribbon really is very reactive. There's a lot of heat being given off. The temperature is changing very, very quickly. It's all the way up to 40 some degrees. Okay, 43 I think is what it got up to. So the magnesium is very reactive in hydrochloric acid. So let's bring it back over here and we'll do part 2. Which for part 2 we have copper chloride. It tells us to add 1 piece of aluminum shot to well B1. So I'm going to grab the aluminum. I'm actually going to grab all 3 of these and bring them over. So we want to do the initial temperature again too. So initial temperature is about 19.8 is what we'll call it. Put the aluminum shot in. And you can see that temperature's going up. So there's probably a reaction taking place. If we flip it over, you can see that our aluminum is changing color, which doesn't necessarily mean that there's a reaction. But really, if you look closely, what's forming on the end of it, you can see it on my thermometer, is copper. So the copper and the aluminum are actually switching places, is what's happening in this experiment. And the temperature actually goes up. It's going to go up quite a bit. It's over 30. 31 is what it got up to. Okay. So the next one, it says a small piece of crumpled aluminum foil. So here's the aluminum foil. See if I can get a piece. Crumple it up. Drop it in. There's definitely a reaction taking place. You can see the temperature again. It's rising. Bubbles are forming. And you can see the copper again is changing places with the aluminum. You can see all the copper that's forming in the bottom of it. It actually got up to what, 26 degrees I think is what the thermometer read just a second ago. 28 degrees, 29, 30 degrees, over 30 degrees. So in well B3, we're going to put a piece of zinc. So let's get a small piece of zinc and see if we can get anything to happen. There's a piece of zinc. We put the zinc in the copper chloride and we're getting the same thing happening. The zinc and the copper are switching places and we're getting a solid copper forming there, and you can see what the temperature is doing. It's not quite as reactive as the aluminum, but the temperature is rising again. In well 4, They want you to place aluminum hydroxide, 5 drops of it. Not aluminum, ammonium. So this is ammonium hydroxide here. So we're going to put 5 drops in. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You can tell for sure we're getting a precipitate forming. There's definitely a solid in there. And the temperature is rising again too, above room temperature. Not real high, but 20, might get to 23 degrees. Then we want sodium carbonate, which sodium carbonate is right here. So we're going to add 5 drops of sodium carbonate. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Same thing. We got a precipitate forming, kind of a white cloudy substance. And the temperature rises a little bit, not nearly as much as it did. And let's see what we want to do in the last. For the last one, we want silver nitrate again. So I'm going to take it over to the silver nitrate. Open this back up. Put 5 drops in. And we get a white solid forming, and I bet a white precipitate forming, and I bet we've got a temperature change. Let's see. Yeah. Not sure if it's going to get up to 20 or not, but yep. So that's the lab. Make sure you fill out both your data tables with your observations. Okay, this data table here and then data table B. You'll need to submit the pre-lab questions, your answers to this data table, your answers to data table B, and then the post-lab questions all need to be submitted if you want to get all the points for this.